Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 8 of the Unwrapped Leader Podcast, where we get raw, real, and relevant in the new network marketing and helping you become a gifted leader in your business. My name is Teisha.
And I'm Dracy.
So today we're going to be talking about making the most out of your convention. And sometimes the word we use is conference, depending on what you call it, your company convention or conference, just an event that your company usually holds annually. Sometimes companies hold more than one, like a leadership summit. Sometimes it's an annual conference open to everyone. And we just wanted to talk to you guys a bit about how you can make the most of it, why it's so important to attend these conferences. We're going to give you guys the objectives of these conferences, and we're going to leave you with some tips to do before, during, and after your convention. So I will be using the words conference, convention kind of hand in hand, just so you guys are aware it is the same thing to me. So I'm actually leaving to my conference on Thursday. I'm going to be flying out to Toronto with some of my team members. This year is the first year they're actually doing it partially online and partially in person. So I have team members attending virtually, team members attending in person. So it's going to be fun regardless. I'm very excited to just be at an in-person event after 2 years of basically doing everything virtual. So it should be a great time. We thought this would be a great time to do a podcast like this because a lot of conferences do happen in the month of July. Some of you may have already been to your conference and you are still going to get something out of this episode because we are going to talk about some things you could do after to make the best out of your convention. And some of you guys may be having your conference this weekend at the same time as mine, or maybe in a few weeks from now. But we're, very sure that you are going to get something out of this episode. So let's just quickly talk about the importance of attending conference. And then me and Dracy are actually going to share just some personal stories with you guys about what our first conference was actually like. So first things first is what I'm going to say is the investment that you make in yourself is the best investment that you will make because it's all about personal growth. And in that, in my opinion, is priceless. This business has done so much for me personally, such as building my confidence. And to me, that was priceless because I've been able to become the best version of myself. So just making that first step and saying yes to attending your conference, investing in yourself is the best decision that you are going to make for yourself. And I always say to my team, thank you for investing in yourself because from the conference, you're going to get so much more than just some business tips to move forward. You are going to get, tips and growth personally. And you're just going to grow as a person completely rather than just in your business. So it's so important to attend these company events. Number one is broadening your knowledge because you get to find out what's new, not only maybe with products. A lot of times companies will have their conference around a new catalog. So you're going to learn all about those, but as well as what's new in the business, because this industry is constantly changing. We've seen that, especially in the last few years. So you're going to see what's new in the business, what's new with your products, as well as any new tools that your company may be coming out with, or maybe an expert in the field is going to be speaking that you're going to learn some really cool tools that you could use in your business. There's going to be, experts, top leaders that are going to be speaking, maybe from your company, maybe outside your company. You're going to get to learn their success secrets. You're going to be able to pick their brain, see what's working for them. And that is just so much fun. And you get to learn so much. And once you actually learn all these things, it's so important to actually implement them, to take action. I've been there before where you have a list of notes, you're overwhelmed. Where do I even start? So learning, implementing. Another thing, you're going to leave that conference feeling so inspired because that conference is meant to be empowering, inspirational, motivational. And I remember, I'll get into my story actually soon, but I just remember that was everything I felt after my first conference was all of those things. And then last but not least, expanding your circle. That is so important to expand your network in this industry, meeting new people, building stronger connections with maybe people you've had conversations with online and now maybe you're seeing for the first time in person, or if you're there with your team, it's such a great team bonding experience. And those are just a few reasons why conferences and conventions with your company are just so important to attend. And I know too, with people that are maybe new to the company, don't always feel like, people always debate, do I need to go to that? Is it really going to benefit me? And I could firsthand say, I know Dracy too, it's one of the best decisions you'll ever make. So So let's get into it. Dracy, tell us about your first story with your very first conference. I don't even think I've heard this story before, so I am
No, you
excited for
haven't,
this.
but I got to put a pause on hold before I do that, because when you know what you know about convention, like you just talked about, isn't it funny and ironic though that I couldn't get you to go to your first convention when it was in Nashville? You had started in December, and in July we had Nashville convention. And because I know that, and you're saying, no, I can't go, there was valid reasons. I can't remember what those valid reasons were that first year, but
it was my brother's wedding.
it
So
was your
there's that.
wedding. Oh my God. And he's celebrating his 4th wedding anniversary, or is it his 5th? I think it's his 4th. That's so funny. And that was very valid. But this is what I mean. Like, you know this about convention, and you have a superstar like yourself and they can't go. You're just like so gutted, like she's just going to be missed. And then you went to your first one the following year. I couldn't be there, but man, I was just so like, remember I was messaging you, telling me about it, and your mom was sending me videos, and I needed to know your first time experience. So oh my God, see, look I got goosebumps. And that was me being, like your mentor or your mama bear, or, just your friend, like knowing what you were going to do with convention. So I'm going to give 3 words before I get started on my story. These 3 words is my feelings and how I think about it right now with the energy and enthusiasm, and is the wow when you go. Like, people just have no idea when they go to their first convention and how wild it is. Like, it's just like to see all the enthusiasm and the people so excited, and the positive energy is so uplifting when you go to something like that. And then the 3rd word is wonderment, because you're like a child when you go. And I don't mean child in a negative thing. I mean, like, you're like in wow, like Christmas time, seeing a Christmas tree and the light bulbs lighting up. That to me is what convention is when you go to it for the first time. And of course, how do you give somebody that? How do you explain that to somebody when you're trying to, and I don't even want to use the word convince them to go to convention, but let's say that's it. We're trying to convince them they got to go to convention. It's life-changing. And I remember I had started pretty much in April, and I lived in Vancouver, and my upline was saying, you got to go to convention. It was in Toronto. And back then it was definitely $1,000 investment. And to me, $1,000 is still a lot of money when you don't have it. But that's how much it was 30 years ago for me to go. And I was just starting to gain momentum my first 3 months, so I clearly was replacing my welfare income with that. And so every single penny was food on the table. So you can imagine telling somebody who doesn't have money to go to convention and invest in $1,000. But it's interesting. There was 2 magic words she said to me. It's university for your business. And if you can't afford to go, then you can't afford not to go. And it was light bulb moment for me. It was just a decision making. I'm going. So once I actually made the decision, then it didn't matter. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I was going to figure it out. And I did. I figured it out. I think I didn't buy car insurance that month. It was due. And I had a garage sale. And obviously I made enough money to go. So that's what I did to get there. And when I got there, again, the wild, and the wonderment was just infused into me. But we all go for the basics. So I went there just like a sponge. But well, you know what it really did? It's given me a 30-year career, because the vision that was crafted and created, seeing the women on the stage and the accolades and the flowers and the jewelry and the big paychecks, like that was just impregnated in me that's going to be me next year. That's it. That's what I said to myself. And so that's what I went home with, it was such a, crafted in my head. So when I left, I went home, I had a solid plan. I now had to focus on the basics. I had the support of my upline, and I went home and I went to work. So I went there as a consultant when I went to my very first convention. And 12 months later, I went there as the highest ranking leader in the company, the fastest and the youngest to do it. That's what it did for me. Now, I'm not saying that's going to do for everything, but I know that's what it can do for people. And so I think we needed 10 leaders to be the top in the rank. We had promoted out 12 leaders within my team. And at the second year convention, I got to bring 12 people with me. So, and then everything changed from the year 2. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. But that was my first convention and what it did for me and how important it is. So there you go, Teisha.
Wow, that's amazing. I've actually never actually heard that story before, but you're so right when you talked about like the Christmas, seeing Christmas lights or whatever for the first time. Like it's amazing, and it's so hard to describe it to people. Like you have to be there to really experience it. It's incredible. So I'm happy that yours was everything and more.
And now you know why when you went to your first, I had to hear all about it. So tell our audience, this beautiful audience that I know is probably all getting all goosebumps or getting lit up about going to their conference. And if they don't have what they're thinking, how can I go to a conference? For your first convention, you were an actual leader when you went to conventions because you did your leader summit and then you went to convention as a leader. That's wild.
So my first convention was actually my leadership summit in Las Vegas. And I remember I wanted to go so bad and I was willing to do anything. I had never flown alone. I'm like, I will fly alone to this convention. And that was a big step for me because I'm someone who I used to walk through life really scared. And something like this, it was just a big enough fire under my butt to be like, I'll do whatever it takes. However, my parents were, I think, still a little bit nervous with me traveling alone. And so, you know what? It was in Las Vegas and they were like, well, we could come and make a trip out of it. So I remember, I believe it was my mom, my dad, and my fiance, Ryan, that came with me. And yeah, I believe it was both my parents and Ryan. And we all got on a plane. We all went. I didn't know anyone. So really, it's like I didn't know anyone to like really room with. This was all new to me, my first convention. So we all flew there together. Ryan and I had a room, my parents had a room, and we would meet up like between my meetings and stuff. We still got to do some like sightseeing there, and we got to do some shopping and all that kind of fun stuff. But for the most part, like I was in my meetings, and then they would go and do their own thing. So I was prepared to go alone, but they insisted, they tagged along, and it's like, you know, I'm not going to rob them of a Vegas trip. That sounds amazing. So they came along with me. And I was very thankful for that too. It definitely made me feel more comfortable for my first one. But like I said, I didn't know anybody coming in. So when I got there, I think there was some people I kind of talked to online, but I was a new leader. So I wasn't really, I guess, like in with all the leaders, having the conversations with them and talking about, you know, our wins and all that stuff. Cause I was brand new. I was fresh to it. So I
You
didn't really
hadn't
know
built
what
any
to expect.
relationships yet. Like you hadn't
Not
really built.
really.
Yeah.
Not really. So just a few maybe online chats. I think I maybe you know, when you're like a new leader or even a new consultant, sometimes you kind of look for the people that stand out, whether that's on like your consultant group or whatever. And maybe it's just me, but I remember messaging them. And actually, I remember one of them telling me just at my last incentive trip, they're like, I remember when you were just new to the business and you were sending me messages asking me for advice. And I'm like, I don't even remember that. But it's funny. It's just me seeking out, you know, people that stood out to me. And so actually seeing them and putting a face to that and being like, okay, yeah, I talked to this person. I wasn't sure if they were going to be friendly or how, you know, how they were going to see me. But I remember I met so many people that weekend. I took so many photos. But there was two people specifically that made me feel so welcome that just
Mm.
like they knew I think they knew as soon as I came in that I didn't know very many people and that I was maybe like I came in alone. I didn't come in with anybody. And there was two people, their names are Kelsey and Jen, and they made me feel like so welcome there. And they're actually like they're lifelong friends. I walked in with no relationships. I walked out with lifelong friends. And they're actually going to be attending my wedding in a few weeks. Like that's how close we are. We talk all the time. And I just remember the feeling of feeling so welcome when I got there, and just people actually people wanted to get to know me and hear what I was doing. And obviously my name started appearing on the pages a little bit more because I was promoting, I was, you know, bringing in new recruits, new members, I was welcoming them. So they started seeing me a little bit more. And I remember just feeling so welcome. I knew those were my people because growing up, even just in junior high and high school, I remember being that person to anybody in school or outside of school, and just anyone who felt like, you know, I could tell they felt awkward or like they didn't belong. Like I wanted to make them feel welcome, because to me, like I don't ever want to feel that way. So for other people, I don't want them to feel that way either. And I remember, you know, friending people who maybe didn't feel like they were included. I got along with so many different personalities for that reason. And I just related to that because I was pretty shy growing up, but at the same time, I knew I never wanted to be in that situation where no one would come help me or no one would come welcome me when I felt awkward or just like like I don't fit in. So that was one of my best moments, was honestly meeting people and having, and people that I still talk to today, almost 5 years later. And like I said, they're lifelong friends. And I remember shortly after that leadership summit, of course, I learned so much. I took so many notes, and that's right after my business exploded. I remember that next month, or maybe it was that month, I had my biggest recruiting month in the history for myself. And that was, I brought in 13 new members in a month. And it wasn't even, I think, at the start of the month, because I was so fired up and determined. They gave us a recruiting challenge at the end. I had learned so many new things. I was so excited to go home, implement it, just get creative, and just start implementing everything I was learning. And I had so many people that I met too, that I learned from. I was just like a sponge, soaking up all the information, soaking in all the knowledge that I learned from this conference. And it was the most amazing experience of my life. Like, I don't even know, did I explain that well? Like, I want people to see, like, it was huge for me. That was huge for me in my business.
Well, I just love the fact that you said the friendships that you've created are because of that one event, are lifetime friendships. And I can totally relate to that, because all the leaders throughout my lifetime, and, some of them are still, besties of mine. And, every day, like you said, they're being invited to the wedding, and but I'm getting married again, but you know what I'm saying. That's how impactful they are. So, oh my God. Okay. So what's next? Are we talking about your convention now? Or
I'll quickly touch on that. I'll quickly touch on that, and then you can get into the objectives. So that was my first convention. It was a leadership summit. However, my first conference, like with everyone invited, I remember.
Did you have some of your team go with you, Teisha? I didn't mean to cut you off, but your first convention, did you have people going with you?
Yeah, I had 5 team members, I think. I had 5 team members at my first conference. I was so excited that people actually wanted to go with me, and that I would be able to show up as their leader, as a team. Like, that was so exciting for me. So I did have people go. And I remember being asked, like, I think it was just like a few weeks before the conference, if I would lead a session on recruiting. And I remember just thinking, like, are they crazy? Like, they want me, like, this is my first conference. Like, why do you want me to do, like, I was just blown away. But I was, my biggest fear is public speaking. So right away, I'm like, I said yes, but I was terrified. And I was like, I can't pass up this opportunity. It might go good. It might go bad, but either way, I could say I did it. And I know at the end of the day, it's going to help me grow in my business. So I said yes. And I remember I was preparing a whole slideshow training for recruiting in my company. And I was still like, they said, you're one of our top recruiters, so we want you to lead a training. So I did lead a training there, and I almost shit my pants, to be honest with you, but I did it, and it was terrifying. I was pretty sure I was sweating a lot. And so anyways, during the recognition, we had a gala night. Everyone was dressed up. They were doing awards, and that conference, like, I was almost in tears, because I didn't realize how much I've been able to grow in my business. And it's all because of that first convention I went to in my leadership summit, from meeting people to having those people to talk to every day, learn from, and everything that led up to this moment right here. And I was announced the top recruiter in the company. And now I understood why they wanted me to lead that training. But I was blown away with myself. I couldn't believe that someone like me, who is shy, someone who is like naturally introverted, and just someone who's terrified of public speaking, being named the top recruiter in the company, blew me away. And then even for sales, I was named, I think, number 2 in Canada for sales. And that was, I couldn't believe it. And so that, like, I remember just being speechless. I didn't even know what to say or think. And it was life-changing to do that. And I remember thinking, like, just even that conference, I remember actually they were announcing people for the most people who made it in the most prestigious club in the company, which was the President's Club. I hadn't made it that year, and I actually didn't even make it the next year. I remember that was my goal, but I was working towards it. It was a huge goal of mine. And finally, I think in my 3rd year, I hit President's Club. And ever since, I've made it 3 consecutive years. And it's a lot. It was a lot of work, and it was a lot to get up to that point. But, you start with learning the basics, learning how to network with people, the sales, and you move into, building up your team and bringing in new team members and sharing your passion. And then eventually you build up to promoting those people on your team now into leaders and helping them experience what you did. And that's what got me into that most prestigious club in the company years later. But it was a similar situation where it's like, I'm seeing people go on the stage for something like that. And I'm like, I want to be in that, and then I did it in a couple of years. So that was my first annual conference, I guess. But that was probably way too long of a story that I had to make it. But
hey, we're still in the 20 minutes. So, well, honey, I think just knowing that the inspiration and how it inspires you. And I'm going to talk about the 3 I's in this one. Okay. And that is the inspiration that a convention creates at all levels. And the second thing is you going there with intention. And I think this is what's really important, is having those intentions. And I know you're going to do the before and after and all that, but I just want to talk about the intentions, because once you do that, then you work where you think about the impact. And when you become a leader, that is where you get to be that impact. When you're going, you're impacted by everybody around you, and it's contagious and it's, infectious. Mm-hmm. So I want to talk about the actual objective of these kind of events and functions, because it's more than just going and learning the basics of the business, as you said. But to me, I would say the number one at the top of the list is the building of the relationships, much like you talked about. These building of relationships, people who play together stay together. And so it's so important when you go to these things, you're having fun, you're doing things together, but you're learning about their dreams and goals, or you're there learning, meeting new people. So I just really feel the building of relationships is so impactful. But the second thing is inclusive of people. And if you've experienced this, you will know people go out of the way so nobody feels left out. It is completely different from high school. And like you said, you were that person that goes around and made sure you included people. I always found it really fascinating, because I actually had people at convention that were actually not even in my team, but they were in my team at convention, because they may not have been inclusive of the team they were in, or they may not have come from a team. And that was so important. And I actually call it a lollipop moment. The whole convention, I want you to think, if you want to know what a lollipop moment is, go to a TED Talk called Lollipop Moment. It's brilliant. And a lollipop moment is that you can do something amazing for somebody, or you may have said something and it's changed their life, but you don't know that. And they will come to you years later saying, my life was changed because you talked to me in the elevator, or you said something on stage, or you included me. And I would not even known I made that kind of an impact on their lives, but it was so sweet to them. It's actually called a lollipop moment. And when I hear about lollipop moments and people tell me about how their lives have changed and the impact later in years, look at, I got goosebumps again. We're going to call this one our goosebumps podcast. The other thing, the third thing is these events is they create identity, like you as your team, creating your own personal identity. I know myself, like I had my business here in in Canada for, I think, 8 years before I moved to Australia, and had to start from scratch, right from the bottom. But we called ourselves the power region. So everything was, like lightning bolts and flames and, like stuff like that. And then we went into the t-shirts, but it was about creating identity. So again, people felt like they were part of a community. Then when I started in Australia, I went again from the bottom. I walked away from my 6-figure income to start all over again here in Australia. And we created a whole new business, a whole new community. We were called the hero region then. So everything was about superhero capes. And, so again, we just created that identity. The other thing I love is just personally welcoming everyone. I think this is from the new people to the highest level of people, you have an opportunity to personally welcome it no matter what level you are. And again, that creates that lollipop moment in there. Recognition is so huge. I think recognition, this is the opportunity that these conventions to personally get recognition or see people recognized. So it allows you to help set your goals and understand what they're being recognized for. I love it that the next one is edification. This is a place where you get to edify your people, or you get on stage, you get to see your people being edified by the company. Edification is such a powerful word. And when you get really good at edifying people, again, that is what makes people feel special. Using their names, remembering things from them, like the great old Tom Chenault, the great rememberer. This is where edification comes in. And the more you remember, the more you're going to be able to edify people. Convention is great for feedback, just not only what you're learning, but it's the after, and this is what you're going to talk, but it's the feedback that you can get from where you're at and where you're going to go, as well as always having a call to action. Every single event that you do, or a convention, or like a Zoom meeting, is a call to action, that follow up. And the success of these events is in the follow up and the call to action. Next is gifting. This is such an opportunity to gift your people. And why are gifts so important? One is, some people's love language is gifting. I think we all love getting a gift, but there's usually a statement, a memory, or something about it that'll remind them of something they've done. Or if you're giving them something that they can use every day, who do you think they're going to think of? What you're giving and gifting them is something that they're going to use every day. So they're going to be remembering you every time. And it's also going to remind them to take action of what they should be doing. They went to convention, they got this, and they go, oh yeah, I was at convention. So it's like the little angel and the little devil on the shoulder. One's like, yeah, I don't want to do it. And then the other one's on the shoulder saying, make that call or make that post. Those little gifts remind them of making those posts. And again, follow up. And last and most important, as I've already said, is the fun. That fun energizes you at such a level that you do go home and do different things and make things happen. And what's important to remember, like you said, Teisha, you went home and you were able, because your energy was at such a high, it just elevated everything. It raised your vibration in your business. And the one thing is that is what the opportunity is and what's great. But I also like to say there is a threat to it when you go home. And that threat is because we're so on fire and we're around so many amazing, positive people. We go to the real world and all of a sudden you're like slammed. Not everybody is so positive anymore. And that's what you have to learn to overcome and get great at, that they may not have experienced what you did, but you got to continue to be that shining light, keep pushing through and persevering and knowing there's a prize at the end of it for when you do. So that to me is a little bit I wanted to share in saying that. The biggest thing that you become in this is an actual leading by example. You go to convention for one reason, but when you become a leader, you now become the master of selling your position, because the ultimate objective in there is we want everybody at convention to be inspired by leadership and to want to become a leader. And so your job is to help them in that journey. And that is the ultimate goal, is leadership. And so we are there selling our position to being great leaders, leading by example, making you feel special. And that's why it's so important that you make contact, remember people, edify people, and touch people's lives. So because they want to be a leader just like you. It is recruiting at next level, not just recruiting 101. This is recruiting at, 2.5, because you're recruiting those, they're already distributors, but you're recruiting them to want to be a leader and getting them into leadership roles. So that's what I have to say. So you got some tips, Teisha, on what to do before convention, what to do during, and what to do after.
Yeah, those are amazing. I loved how you explained them. And a lot of the things that you actually said are a lot of the points that I talk about in this, but kind of when to do it. So I'm going to get into it before your conference. So what you want to be doing, some things with your team, some things with your customers, is building up the excitement. So you want to be building up the excitement with your customers, or with your team first and foremost, because you want them to attend. This is such an amazing event. This could be life-changing for them, like it's been for me and for Dracy. And you want to get people excited about it. So I remember during my team meetings, I would talk about it at every meeting. These are the top reasons you want to be there, but also just sharing your story. But if you've never been to a conference, take it from us. It is an amazing experience, right? So you want to build up that excitement. Maybe you don't have a team yet, but just know, from us, like, it is one of the most amazing experiences you will ever have. But also building up the excitement with your customers, because you want to bring them on this journey with you. You want them to see how much fun it's going to be. You want to actually document this whole thing and keep them involved too, because not only are you going to be showing them the excitement, but you're also planting little recruiting seeds just by showing them the things that you get to be excited about in your company. So this is kind of your way to invite other people to join you. Who wants to join me at convention this year? And talk about all the things that you're going to be doing. So just some different ways you could do this is, for one, like you could do a countdown. So a week before, 3 days, 2 days, 1 day leading up to the event, you want to keep them in the loop. And, and what have you been doing? Have you even started packing yet? Share those little things with them. I think we had a conversation about what to be doing in private customer groups and stuff, but remember, it doesn't always have to be product focused and selling. Talk about the things you're doing with your company. Outside of that, people like to come along for the journey. Another one is, this one's fun, is actually voting on outfits. So like, how many people are preparing for conference thinking, what do I wear? What's the dress code? What's going to look nice? What's going to make a good first impression? I have so many outfits. What ones do I pick? And we don't want to pack for 2 weeks when it's just a weekend event. So I've done this before. People love to vote on outfits. So snap some pictures in your favorite outfits that you want to bring, post it to your customers and say, I need to pick an outfit for, 3 days or whatever. Which ones are your favorites? Let me know below. And they're going to be watching for your journey. Is she wearing the outfit that I chose? And it's just a fun way to get people involved. Another one, before your conference, as Dracy mentioned, team gifting. So if you do have a team, it is really fun to get some gifts together. So this is being posted. We're recording this on a Monday, but it's being posted on Wednesday, Canada, Thursday, Australia. So if you are watching this, you're going to see this maybe a day before our conference, and you just get a sneak peek if you're on my team watching this. But what I made for my team this year, so if you're watching on YouTube, clearly you could see it. If you're not, I'll explain what it is. So this is like a little pencil case zipper pouch. I actually made this with my Cricut. So our conference is called SipCon, and then I put our team name, the Broody Crew, underneath. So it's something personalized and special that they could take with them, right? If anyone asks them about it, it's from their conference that they attended. And I just filled it with a bunch of fun little things, some stationery. I wrote them all a little cute handwritten card. I gave them like a highlighter in there for,
highlighting the magic moments of convention.
Yes. Yeah. And just like little things, like I got a pen, I got a pack of gum for them, put a little notepad in there. So just little things that are fun. And I know that something personalized is always a great thing too. But honestly, if you have even just, if you have a really large team, like a card, even something just like a card is really nice, right? Just like Dracy said, a lot of people's love language is gifting. So just any sort of thing that, shows your appreciation. I always want to appreciate my team for investing in themselves, because for some of them, it's their first time investing in themselves. And I know that it's going to change their life after. For others, continuing to invest in themselves because they've seen, what it's like to be attending a conference. And a lot of my team, we haven't had conferences in person for 2 years now. So a lot of them, it's their first in-person conference, which I know the experience is so much different. It's still amazing because you still get to learn so much, but the in-person experience is life-changing. So some team gifts. I also, the ones attending in person, I did get them some shirts. So we're all going to match one day so people can see that we're a team. We're going to walk in together and just have some fun with that. And just like I said, invite others to join you beforehand, right? Through like very subtle seeds, little things like the countdown, getting people to vote on your outfit. So those are a few things before. Is there anything that you would add to that, Dracy?
As a leader, I would be personally calling those that are actually going to convention just to help building them up and what they're doing and stuff like that. I would definitely want to be talking to every one of my distributors going or future leaders or leaders on, what do they want to get out of convention? What their expectations of it. So that would probably be the only thing. So when they're after convention, as part of the follow-up, that we can set some goals, who do they want to meet at convention? Like they'll see some superstars throughout the year or Instagram or something like that. Is there any people that they actually specifically want to meet? So my role would be to make sure I could introduce them to that person at convention. So I would definitely do that, especially for my leaders or people that I know that are, wanting to, like I said, again, if they've invested into convention, I'll do everything to invest into them.
Yeah, that's a really good tip. I actually kind of have it in my during conference section. So I'll actually just get right into that. And you kind of started it off. So I talked about this, but I guess that's a very smart point, is actually talk with your team if you have one. And if you don't have a team right now, or maybe you don't have like an upline that's active, make that note for yourself. What do you want to get out of it? Who do you want to meet? Because something you need to be doing during conference, interacting with new people that have inspired you throughout the years, or if you know of a speaker that's going to be going, right? Maybe it's on your bucket list to get a picture with this speaker and meet them, talk to them, ask them a question. But anyone that you've seen online that's inspired you, 100% agree. You should definitely meet them. If you have an upline that knows them, make sure you let her know too. Like, I really want to meet this person. It's such a great idea. But another thing is take a lot of photos. Take pictures of the whole process when you're packing before the event, when you're on the plane, if it's somewhere you need to fly to. With your team, of course, if you have a team going, get lots of team pictures, right? We talk about the community a lot. So all this stuff is just social proof for you to use later. And any of the trainings, right? Maybe your favorite speaker is talking, or someone is talking, whether it's on your team, upline, whatever, get pictures of that. Any kind of activities you do, like at my conference, we're actually doing a head office tour. So that is going to be so cool to see. Get pictures of those activities, those new friends that you make. That one's really important. I love looking back at my very first leadership summit. I took pictures with everyone. I was like, I just met you. Let's take a selfie. And I just put myself out there. Like I'm normally, like I said, pretty shy, but I knew I need to take note, and I need to get as many memories as I can from this event. And another one is when you interact with new people, really do get to know them and keep in touch with them. Find out their contact or their Facebook. This could be a success partner for you, someone who you're going to stick by, chat with every day. Maybe it's, like I said, not someone on your team, just someone in the company, but those are the people that actually make such a big impact on you. That's what it's done for me. The two people that I met at my first leadership summit that I still talk to this day, they're lifelong friends. We share our wins, we share our struggles. And there's someone that I could go to that's at that same stage as me. So look for other people who are, going for that same goal as you, in the same position as you, and kind of, have them as a success partner in your business. Don't forget, of course, during conference, ask questions. Don't keep anything in. If you have the question, it's likely somebody else out there has it too. Give compliments to people. So if you see something that you love, whether it was something someone said, how someone looks, give compliments to people, right? Be that person that is going to stand out, and people are going to remember you for little things like that. And then lastly, take a lot of notes. Take a lot of notes. It's going to be overwhelming when you get home, but that brings me to after you get home from conference, you're going to have a whole notepad full of notes, and it's easy to get overwhelmed and just not even open that notebook up, but you need to go through it. You need to go through it, highlight all the things that you want to implement in your business. This is what I did. And then usually you'll end up with another long list of things that you need to do, but then you need to prioritize those things. What things can you implement right now? Highlight those in a certain color. What things do you want to implement, but that might be, maybe in a couple months from now? Highlight those in a different color. And from that list, you're going to set some goals for yourself. You're going to manifest your goals, and you're going to tell yourself like your goal has already happened. You're going to say, I'm, in a year from now, I will be a group leader, or whatever your, maybe it's a ranking goal, or maybe it's a commission goal. In a year from now, I want to be making, $2,000 every single month in my business. Whatever it is, tell yourself that you're going to be doing it and manifest it based on all of those things that you've learned and all those things you're going to implement and take action on. And then, of course, you have all these pictures now. You need to be posting about them, talking about them. Give a trip recap for your customers, for your friends on social media. And you know what? Don't be scared. If you got recognized, toot your own horn. That is so important. And I know it's hard for people to do, but think of it more as you need to show people how far you've come since the very beginning. And if you don't share your journey, then no one's going to see that. You need to share your journey. It is so important. Your story is going to be the most powerful thing that you share, and your recognition, your accomplishments are a huge part of that. And of course, share your favorite parts. What were your favorite parts of your conference or convention? Share it with your team, share it with, your customers, anybody out there. And that's my biggest tips for what to do before, during, and after. Dracy, what do you think before we close off? Anything else you would add?
And I think you just nailed it. I'm going to come back to that. You have an opportunity to create lollipop moments, make people's conventions sweet. And if you were to really want to make an impact that people are going to remember you, I'm going to challenge, if you're listening to this right now, and Teisha, this goes for you too. I want you guys to all grab a big bag of lollipops, take them to conventions, start handing them out. People are going to remember you because they're going to eat them, and they're going to remember you as they are, and they are going to be open to looking for those sweet lollipop moments. And so when you hand that in, it says, I want you to enjoy conference and let it be sweet for you and recognize those lollipop moments. I challenge you, let's do a hashtag lollipop moments and make this actual podcast right now worthy of remembering. So now whenever I go to a convention, and we go to conventions, we see lollipops hanging out, we know we implemented that. We influenced that one. So that's my state on that. Other than selling your position, just know you have a role to play. And I encourage you to take that on as the highest role is going and making people feel special. So I really feel you did a great job, Teisha. I hope people are energized and enthused about going to their convention. If they don't have one coming up, find one, go to one. I know Teisha and we are evolution of what we're creating, our brand in our book. We saw Gary Vee does a big convention on branding. I don't know about you, but it's in Vegas. And I was like, oh my God, that's next level for us doing a convention on, where our passions are lying. I'd love to go to one, setting a goal, to go to a convention like that. Teisha, you have a great time at your convention coming up. Everybody here, I want to say thank you. Please follow us. Please give us your nuggets that you got out of this. Any reviews, tips, highlights, shares, we'd love it. Again, we're almost there with our book. So if you haven't gotten yourself on the wait list, go to our website, theunwrappedleader.com, and we'll be giving away some free books here soon, shortly. It's coming. Thank you so much. Have a great day, everybody.